Jeff Bezos, now the richest man in the world, has been changing his image to go with his new status. This according to the New York Times fashion director and chief fashion critic Vanessa Friedman. In her latest piece, Jeff Bezos, style icon, she writes, quote, unlike his fellow tech entrepreneurs who have enshrined the dress-down uniform in the mythology of their sector and equated it with a life of the mind, Mr. Bezos has a facility for dressing up. Vanessa joins us this morning here at Post 9. It's always good to have you here. Welcome back.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
We were talking during the break about when we think this evolution began for him. It's been a while.
It's been a sort of stealthy creep, I think, over the last 6 years. I think really started around 2012 when Amazon became very interested in fashion. You know, when they sponsored the Met Gala, when he stood at the top of the steps with Anna Wintour, and they became very articulate about their ambitions in that area.
You know, we're again talking about this during the break. I was at the Space Symposium out in Colorado Springs, which is a big space conference last year. Jeff Bezos showed up to talk about Blue Origin. Bomber jacket, aviators, boots, tailored jeans, and I think everybody was like, whoa, this is very cool. Tony Stark is the comparison that's starting to get tossed around.
Well, I think certainly, you know, when Blue Origin became, you know, his kind of next giant project, and he joined Instagram in 2017 and started posting all these pictures of himself next to, you know, the space capsule on top of the windmill at the wind farm. You know, that became a kind of obvious association, and he really has adopted the uniform. You know, he's cool.
It's sort of the way to contrast it is back in the 90s, right, when Amazon became a household name for different reasons, largely books. It was about billowy dress shirts, right, and khakis.
90s. It was super 90s. Pleated pants. Yes. Everything was slightly oversized jackets, and apparently snaps.
Snaps.
It was all about, you know, it was all about saving time even back then, but it was like rip the tie off because you could have snaps on your shirt.
Jobs famously wore black turtlenecks because it minimized the time he had to think about clothes. But you talk about Musk's velvet. Obviously, the Zuckerberg hoodie is famous. The folksiness of Tim Cook. How do you think it compares to other icons in Silicon Valley?
Well, I think clearly the model up to now of kind of how to be a tech titan was created and defined by Steve Jobs, you know, by this idea that you wear the simplest, most consistent uniform so that you free yourself to, you know, focus all your attention on your product, on your genius, on your, you know, on your creation, and that has been the kind of go-to idea of how you know, sell that image to the rest of the world. It's, you know, Mark Zuckerberg, exactly the same, you know, same, very expensive, but, you know, very dressed down gray T-shirt with jeans every day, which he talked about. You know, and Jeff Bezos has giving us a different option.
So how much does that speak to the fact that when you're talking about a high-profile founder of a company, their fashion choices actually become an extension of the brand, a reflection of the brand? I
mean, they become a public CEO. You know, and especially when you're the richest man in the world, you know that everyone is going to be looking at you and thinking about you, analyzing your every move, your every choice, because it reflects on the business you have built, the success you have. And you can either embrace that and use it to your own ends, which Bezos really seems to have done, or you can hide from it. And he's made a different choice.
You think it's too corny to call a best dressed sort of iconic Silicon Valley figure? And if not, would he be it?
Well, GeekWire called him best dressed in 2015 when, when they had the meeting with the Chinese president, and you had all sort of tech titans there, and there was Tim Cook was there, and Zuckerberg was there, and they all wore a suit, and they said Jeff Bezos was the best dressed.
And you would go along with that?
At that time, yeah.
What about now?
I think he is an alternative best dressed.
Are there folks
not a value judgment.
Are there actually folks, are there stylists that focus on dressing CEOs and sort of cultivating that image for them?
I mean, you know, it's a business, and there are plenty in Silicon Valley, and they work with both men and women. I have no idea if Bezos has his own stylist. He clearly has a very good tailor, because the clothes are getting ever more fitted.
And they hang well.
They hang very well and very closely.
As he's gone to the gym.